Tonight, security breach. The Gmail passwords of hundreds of U.S. government officials are stolen, and Google blames China.
These allegations are very serious.
I'm Harry Smith. Also tonight, a deadly tornado in an unlikely place. In this season of devastating twisters, central Massachusetts is the latest target. Rolling out Romney 2.0. Mitt Romney announces his second try for the Republican presidential nomination. And changing the shape of the American diet. The pyramid is out, the plate is in.
This is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening. We begin with a computer hacking case that carries huge international implications. That's because the targets included hundreds of high-level U.S. government officials. Google says their personal Gmail accounts were compromised and the attacks originated in China. Today, the FBI was called in to investigate as federal agencies scramble to find out if the hackers got any sensitive information. Wyatt Andrews has more.
It's the second time Google has blamed a major computer hacking scheme on China. This time, Google says, unknown hackers from Jinan, China, a city with a military command center, stole the personal Gmail passwords of hundreds of senior U.S. government officials. Google said the hackers' goal was to eavesdrop on the officials, to monitor the content of the users' emails. That suggestion of spying rang alarm bells in the administration.
These allegations are very serious. We take them seriously. We're looking into them.
According to a respected security blogger, the attack that targeted the State Department looked like this. It was an innocent-looking email that offered the latest U.S.-China joint statement, but if the reader clicked on the document, what appeared next was this: a Gmail login page which was fake and which fooled some of the users into giving up their private password. The hackers did not steal government-owned emails, but U.S. officials who work at home frequently use Gmail to do government business. White House teams often use Gmail to communicate where and when the president might travel. The risk is growing that too much secure information is being sent on non-secure systems.
Anyone who works in government should not be using a personal email account, such as one that would be found in Gmail on Google, to put any classified information or government activity information.
China denies that the hacking is state-sponsored, calling that allegation completely unfounded and made with ulterior motives. But the FBI is now investigating, and this new revelation of hacking is adding heat to the friction between the U.S. and China. Harry?
Wyatt Andrews in Washington. Thanks. And there is another possible security breach. A group of hackers based in Europe said today it stole more than 1 million pieces of information from Sony Pictures, including passwords and email addresses. Sony says it's investigating. This is separate from the April cyber attack that targeted the Sony PlayStation network. This is one of the most dangerous tornado seasons on records, but few expected the deadly twisters to reach Massachusetts. The state gets an average of 2 a year. That's why what happened yesterday still has people in shock. Heavy damage, 200 injured, and 3 dead. Whit Johnson is in West Springfield, Mass. with the latest. Whit, good evening.
Harry, good evening to you. You know, when you take a look at some of the damage here, it's as if the tornadoes chose at random which buildings to crush and which buildings to leave standing. Recently, we've seen images like this in other parts of the country, but not here, not in New England, and many were caught off guard.
For New Englanders, the sight of tornadoes ripping across Massachusetts was as shocking as it was terrifying. Few knew how to react. What did it look like?
It looked like a big round circle, like just a funnel. It was scary. It really was.
At least 2 tornadoes tore through more than a dozen towns in the central and western part of the state.
People responded promptly to the warnings. We didn't get much by way of warning.
Only about 10 minutes.
Only about 10 minutes.
More than 200 buildings were wrecked. 100-year-old oaks were ripped in two. This empty school bus was thrown deep into the woods. Is it kind of hard for you to stand here and look at your home like this?
Hard because this is where I used to be safe here.
Those who lost everything could not imagine seeing their life torn apart by a tornado until yesterday.
We can't like sleep nowhere. We don't have nothing. Like we don't have no clothes, no bikes, no computer, anything.
12-year-old Riza Azizov and his younger siblings Rosa and Ridvan are now staying with relatives. Their father, who speaks little English, huddled the children into a tight group as their home collapsed on top of them.
I love my dad. He saved us.
Your dad got hurt protecting you. How does that make you feel?
I'm so happy. I love my dad.
It was the state's worst tornado since the 1953 storm that killed more than 90 people.
And tonight we're learning new tragic details about the 40-year-old woman who lost her life in this home. She died while covering her 15-year-old daughter in the bathtub when the walls and ceiling of her home collapsed on top of her. It's just one of the many tragic stories we're hearing in this deadly tornado season. Harry.
With Johnson in Massachusetts, thanks. Health officials in the United States are closely monitoring a deadly E. coli outbreak in Europe. It's a strain that has never been seen before, and it's spread to 10 countries there, with most of the cases originating in northern Germany. At least 16 people are dead and more than 1,600 have become ill. 3 Americans who'd recently traveled to Germany have suffered kidney failure, and health officials fear the bacteria may be to blame. Here's Dr. John LaPook.
Experts suspect this deadly E. coli strain comes from contaminated fresh vegetables. But officials are unable to pinpoint the source of what they're calling super toxic bacteria.
The thing that's striking is how quickly it has spread, and it makes public health officials very concerned that we haven't seen the peak yet.
Stephanie Lucas's 2 sons have been hospitalized with the infection, which starts in the intestine and can affect the entire body. She says her boys may have eaten contaminated cucumbers, tomatoes, or lettuce. Public health officials are worried because there have been a growing number of antibiotic-resistant bacterial infections around the world. This one is especially virulent, causing kidney failure in roughly 1/4 of patients, more than twice the rate seen in similar infections.
Normally these infections hit children and the elderly much harder. This outbreak seems to be hitting everyone hard.
The FDA said today it is stepping up inspections of fresh produce imported from Europe. Officials noted there have been very few shipments of tomatoes, cucumbers, and lettuce from Germany and Spain this year. Harry?
John, but what are the odds that this E. coli might end up in the United States?
It's unclear because even if you don't get it from imported vegetables, it is possible to get it from somebody who recently returned from Europe. The incubation period is up to 10 days, so theoretically somebody could feel perfectly fine, pick it up in Europe, come here feeling fine, then come down with the illness, get the bacteria on their hands, they shake your hands, you get the bacteria on your hand, you put your hand in the mouth. So obviously the answer is to do frequent hand washing, which we're always telling people to do anyway.
Right. John LaPook, thank you. Turning to the Middle East, in Yemen, what started as a pro-democracy movement may be devolving into civil war. Civilians are fleeing the capital in droves now, while thousands of tribesmen are now in a pitched battle with government forces. Iona Craig of Global Radio News is there.
The last couple of days here have been extremely violent. The noise of shelling and mortar explosions become almost normal here now in Sana'a, and in fact you're more likely to notice when it's quiet. This latest fighting, which began last week, is completely separate to that protest movement which is trying to bring down President Ali Abdullah Saleh and want to remove him from office. This fighting began between government troops and a very powerful tribal family of the Al-Ahmars. In fact, last week when this fighting broke out, many people left the city, particularly those with families that had villages to go to. So people are incredibly nervous here in the capital. This violence is going to spread across the city and spread into further violence and a possible civil war. Between the political opposition and Saleh, the mediation efforts have all but collapsed towards a ceasefire, but that lasted all of about 36 hours. And with this very heavy fighting we've seen in the last few days, there have been no further attempts to mediate a peace between the two sides at the moment.
In politics, at first he did not succeed. Now Mitt Romney is trying again. The businessman and former governor of Massachusetts officially kicked off his second run for the Republican presidential nomination today. He has plenty of company, including Newt Gingrich, Tim Pawlenty, and Ron Paul, to name a few. Nancy Cordes now on day one of the Romney campaign.
I'm Mitt Romney. I believe in America. and I'm running for president of the United States.
Announcing his intentions at a New Hampshire farm, Mitt Romney did not mince words when describing the man who holds the office now.
Barack Obama has failed America. When he took office, the economy was in recession, and he made it worse, and he made it last longer.
Aides to Romney say he has learned important lessons from his primary fight 4 years ago, when he won in 11, mostly smaller states, and then bowed out early after blowing through $113 million in campaign funds.
Limiting marriage to a relationship between a man and a woman.
His reversals on gay rights, gun control, and abortion dogged him on the trail back then.
Mitt Romney flip-flops, get him while they're hot.
So this time he's standing firm on the health insurance mandate he signed as Massachusetts governor, even though it angers the right.
Not perfect, but it was a state solution to our state's problem.
Gone are the stuffy suits, replaced by button-downs and jeans. And in a nod to the power of the Tea Party, Romney has adopted some of its rhetoric.
President Obama's European answers are not the solution to America's challenges.
So far, Tea Party groups have not returned the love, some even vowing to drive him from the race. Tea Party favorite Sarah Palin even popped up in Romney's home state of Massachusetts today and slammed his health care law, saying any mandate coming from government is not a good thing. Romney may not be the top choice for some conservatives, but he's still considered the GOP frontrunner because of his formidable mix of drive, funding, and name recognition. Harry?
Nancy Cordes in Washington tonight. Thanks. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, homeowners desperate to save their piece of the American dream. And later, out with the food pyramid and in with the plate. The news landed with a thud on front doorsteps all over America this week. Home values are falling again, the dreaded double dip. If you want to know why, look no further than the house down the street, the one that's in foreclosure. Foreclosed homes selling at bargain basement prices are dragging the market down. Bill Whitaker in Los Angeles now on what some homeowners are doing to fight back.
You're looking at a sign of the times. People lined up, some overnight. Thousands filling LA's massive Shrine Auditorium, desperate to hold on to their houses.
So you're 30 days behind, right?
They're hoping to convince banks to modify mortgages they can no longer afford. The nonprofit Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America has been bringing lenders and borrowers together like this all over the country.
I don't know what to do at this point. You feel like just walking away.
Julieta Manukian never thought she'd need help like this. Her Glendale flower shop is barely surviving. She filed for bankruptcy. She and daughter Sophia have cut back on everything, yet barely managed to scrape together the $3,400 a month mortgage for the house they've called home for 6 years. When the variable rate jumps next year...
Most likely we're not going to keep the house anymore. We just have to move on because there's no way we could handle what we're doing right now.
It's real people, real families, real communities that are being impacted.
Mark's group has helped 175,000 homeowners modify their loans since the start of the recession. A drop in the bucket, he admits, considering the 873,000 people now in foreclosure. With more than 1 million others behind in their payments and facing foreclosure, Mark says the current crisis is about to get much worse.
We have further to go. The prices are going to continue to drop.
And the loan modification program the Obama administration put in place to stem the crisis, it was supposed to save 3 to 4 million homeowners from foreclosure, but so far has helped only 670,000.
Absolute failure. You have to stop begging, pleading, and bribing these banks. You have to require them to do it.
Is this like your last resort?
Almost. If this doesn't work, obviously, we'll see what we're going to do then.
With the huge deficit, it's unlikely the federal government will be offering any more help. Homeowners facing foreclosure might have nowhere to turn but to programs like this. 25,000 people are expected to seek help here over the next few days. Harry?
Bill Whitaker in Los Angeles. Thank you. Also in California today, some justice for J.C. Dugard. Philip Garrido was sentenced to life in prison. He kidnapped Dugard when she was 11 years old, held her captive for 18 years, and fathered her 2 children. His wife Nancy was given 36 years to life in prison. Dugard refused to appear in the same room as her former captors, but in a statement read in court, she said, quote, "I hated every second of every day for 18 years. You stole my life." Just ahead, she spends thousands on courses at an online university. Would she have been better off at a community college? You've seen the ads. For-profit colleges often promise credit for life experience and offer convenient online classes. Students are flocking to them. Enrollment in them is up 225% over 10 years to more than 1.8 million students. But some claim the for-profits saddle students with huge debts and do little to get them jobs. Today, the federal government announced it's cracking down. Here's Chief Investigative Correspondent Armin Katayan.
A single mother of 3, Kimberly Parrish of Jacksonville, Florida, enrolled in an online for-profit school in 2008 with 2 goals in mind.
I was hoping to ideally get a job that would allow me to be home with my family, allow me to pay for health care for my family.
But after taking out $9,000 in student loans, Parrish says she quickly learned that the degree she was studying for wouldn't get her the job she wanted, processing medical bills.
In the end, I found out that it was a big deception.
A CBS News investigation compared for-profit schools to public institutions like community colleges. We looked at how likely graduates are to pass their licensing exams for jobs like nursing and veterinary technicians. We surveyed 9 exams in 5 states, and in each the results were the same. Students at for-profit schools were less likely to pass the state licensing exam in their field than students who attended a public institution, even though they were paying on average about 5 times more in tuition.
In choosing to enroll in a for-profit college, these students typically go deeply in debt.
Last summer, this Senate report criticized abusive recruiting practices and high rates of student loan defaults. Students at for-profit schools make up only 12% of all higher ed students, but 46% of student loan defaults. Today's crackdown by the Department of Education includes new rules requiring for-profits to better prepare students for the job market. Schools risk losing federal funds if more than 1/3 of former students fail to repay any of their loans, or loan payments eat up too much of their overall income.
The intent was to protect students, to ensure that they could get jobs, and to protect taxpayers, to ensure that the loans would be repaid.
The for-profit industry, which lobbied hard against the new regulations, today called them biased and unfair.
This is still a very harmful rule for many students that need the type of career colleges in which we offer, in which we run.
The new regulations go into effect next year, but there's likely to be a huge fight in Congress over their funding. Harry?
Armin Katayan, thanks. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie landed in a bit of controversy this week over his use of state helicopters. Christie flew to one high school baseball game his son was playing and flew from another game to a dinner with Republican contributors. Today, Christie and the state Republican Party picked up the tab for the flights. Christie said he was just trying to balance being a governor with being a father. We'll be right back. Finally tonight, it is no secret America has a weight problem. We just don't eat what we should. So today, the government made a new attempt to get us to improve our diets. John Blackstone reports the ancient pyramid is history.
With as much drama as the Department of Agriculture could muster, and with help from the First Lady, America today got a new symbol for good nutrition.
What's more useful than a plate? What's more simple than a plate?
My Plate, the government calls it, is a simple graphic suggesting larger portions of vegetables and grains and not so much protein and dairy.
And in the months and years ahead, we hope that My Plate becomes your plate.
I think for government work, this is about as good as it gets.
Graphic designer Michael Beirut says visually it's a big improvement over what it replaces, the government's iconic but complex food pyramid.
There's not a child in America or anywhere in the world that could look at it and actually think, oh, now I will remember what's healthy to eat. It's just sort of made eating look like the most complicated thing in the world.
The most obvious indication of the pyramid's failure may be seen in America's less than ideal eating habits.
I can tell you that 98 to 99% of the children, whether they're heavy or not, are not following the dietary guidelines.
Since the 1890s, the government has been giving us dietary guidelines, often influenced by the food industry. Advice in the 1940s included at least 2 tablespoons of butter a day. The 1960s saw a simpler suggestion: 4 major food groups. Simplicity may be the key to success, designers say, for this latest attempt to get us to change our ways.
And I look at that plate, I see 4 sections on that plate, a little bit of dairy to the side. I can see the relative size of each section. It's really, really understandable.
Then again, most of us probably already know what we should be eating. Trouble is, that's not always what we want to eat. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
That's the CBS Evening News. I'm Harry Smith. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night.